Supercars Sessions are back, and this is a good bunch of drivers. We've got Mark Winterbottom, we've got Will Davison, we've got Shane Van Gisbergen. Time to have a chat about all things supercars, and unfortunately not a lot of things supercars at the moment, but we'll make it up as we go. Guys, how are we coping with no racing at the moment? Because I know racing is in your veins. So Frosty, what's the week been like for you?
I've been in probably repairman mode and doing all the jobs that I should have done last year when we were away for 4 months. The list got long, and there's no excuses. When you're in lockdown, you're not racing, and the list is there. It has to be done. So I've just planted about 30 plants out in the yard, and yeah, done all the repairs at home. So I'm up to date. I'm ready to race now because I've got the approval. Everything's been done at home. So yeah, ready to race. Hopefully. Yeah, it's just the unknown. That's the hard part, sitting here in limbo a bit, just waiting to go racing and you know, wishing it's tomorrow, but not actually sure where it is. That's the hard part. But yeah, like everyone, I'm sure we're ready to go. I was happy to skip E-Series because I was really average at it. So I was happy to skip that and get into the real stuff when it comes back.
Will, you missed last night, but apparently you're going to be back for next week, I hear.
Well, I don't know about that. But no, we'll see. I was happy to just palm it off to Anton. I mean, he's the gun in the Sims for us. But I was texting him during the night last night, and he said, "Oh, I think you can have the oval next week. I'll come back for Bathurst." So it was, yeah, it's one of those things. I'm not sure. I logged on to a couple of Twitch streams last night just to get all those horrible memories coming back of just, I don't know, all the little tricks to iRacing and trying to find slipstreams and everyone getting frustrated and the barrel rolling into the grandstand and all of that. So it is what it is. I've been playing a bit of sim actually, but yeah, the oval stuff, so that's a bit different.
Yeah, Shane, we didn't have you on there last night, but cool to see Richie Stanaway back and running around and back in our world, I guess you'd say. Did you see Richie get a win last night? Did you have a chat to him about it?
No, I didn't watch it, but yeah, I messaged him and he said he won, which was pretty cool. But yeah, like Will, I've been using the sim a bit in lockdown, but it's good just doing fun stuff. But yeah.
Frosty, life in lockdown, you mentioned keeping busy and doing all those odd jobs at the moment, but because you went away for the last one, the big one last year, how have you experienced the proper Melbourne lockdown now? What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, it's terrible. You know, it's not fun for anyone, and obviously Sydney's copping it too at the moment. So yeah, it's really bad. But the worst part was probably the parks getting closed for the kids. I got a 2-year-old, and when we do school drop off, one of our boys goes to school. First thing the 2-year-old says is, "I want to play at the park," and you can't tell a 2-year-old. It's just tough, but like anything, I think the Olympics helped get through a little bit of that. I love watching watching the Aussies compete. And then now you're trying to look for more sport, because sport seems to be the thing that keeps you in a good headspace. So you're watching plenty of sport, watching a bit of EPL, watching all the basketball trays and all that sort of stuff go on. So there's plenty to keep you busy. But yeah, just it's tough, and to see you know, everyone walk around in masks and all that sort of stuff. It's not the Victoria that I signed up to come down here about 15 years ago. But yeah, it's tough times, isn't it? But yeah, I'd love to go racing. That's what feels normal when we're at racetracks and in cars, putting helmets on and working with engineers and working with your team and seeing fans and all that sort of stuff. That's the cool stuff. So let's hope it gets back to that sooner rather than later. And yeah, get back to normal, because this isn't normal. It's just a weird way to live at the moment.
So, who's your Premier League team, out of curiosity?
I like Man United. So like anyone, probably jumped on a bandwagon in the mid-90s, early 2000s when they were dominating. So yeah, I like Man United, and I think they won 5-1 in their first game. So they're off to a good start.
Yeah, against my Leeds as well. Hey Shane, you're back. The big news around your team at the moment, obviously, is you know, you've got the new driver announcement coming soon. Have you enjoyed making all the little teasers? Because I've enjoyed watching them.
No, I hate that stuff. But it's pretty funny watching the video. But people know, I guess, I'm not too good around the cameras and stuff like that. But yeah, it seemed to have a good response, so that's pretty funny.
You don't mind pulling the piss out of yourself a little bit, though. That's good.
don't care. If you can't laugh at yourself, you got issues, don't you? So I don't mind. Whatever.
Hey, we had Jamie on here last week, Shane, and I asked him when he becomes the boss, how is he going to work with you in letting you pick what you go and drive in your weekends off? Because obviously Roland's been pretty cool in letting you drive lots of things. How do you reckon you and Jamie are going to go in that sort of worker and boss scenario?
Yeah. What did he say?
He said that he would look at it opportunity on opportunity. So he would try and let you do as much as he can.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully he's the same as RD. RD knows that I'm happiest when I'm driving and I'm always learning and getting better. So hopefully he carries that attitude. But really, I'm interested to see how he goes next year, as everyone is. How I think the first year he'll obviously work with RD and then learn about the team principal role. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
All right, Will, life away from the racetrack for you. How are you handling it, mate?
Oh, yeah, the uncertainty is the frustrating part. So you can't feel too sorry for yourself because just everyone's going through so much uncertainty. So it's great to have something to look forward to. Last year felt a bit different, didn't it? I mean, not only was I, dealing with the uncertainty of my career and all of a sudden knowing I wouldn't be back racing when everyone else was. It was the first time I think anyone sort of experienced it last year, but it's all just a bit old now. Everyone's just over it. So it's good to be in a good position. So in one aspect, up here in Queensland, we feel quite fortunate, still able to spend some time with the team and get out and about training. So I do feel really, really fortunate and feel very sorry for everyone in New South Wales and Victoria at the moment. But yeah, of course, I'm missing it. Like, I'm loving the racing this year so much. Just been, really, really enjoying it, and just can't wait to get back. And yeah, going a little bit nuts. I was ready for a few weeks off after Townsville. I was looking forward to a couple of weekends away, but certainly didn't sign up for this sort of a break. But is what it is. So just trying to stay sharp and can't wait to get back going.
Hey, Frosty, I read that they found a couple of things with your car since they brought it back from Townsville and stripped it down. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, there was just a little bit of a drama with the front of the car. So, it's all fixed now. But that's the hard part, being on the road. When it's going fine, there's no dramas. But when, they don't strip them at the track like they would at the workshop. Plus, your personnel is shorter at the track as well to how much you can do. So, they've done a great job. They've found a couple of things and, would probably show why we were so weak up there. But good parties. We've got plenty of time now to regroup. Although we're in lockdown here, our guys can still work. They're in a couple of weeks off at the moment, but they could still work. We're essential service, and which we're lucky. So they've worked really hard. They've done a lot to the cars that we didn't have a great opportunity to do at the start of the year. So it's exciting to see. Yeah, when you have a bad weekend, you find a problem. That's always a positive, because when you do search and find nothing, then that's a drama. So they've done a great job. They've done a lot of work, and the bits are there. The cars are ready to rock and roll, and we just don't know where we're going to go and rock and roll. But they're good to go. Everything's nicely serviced, and a few little mods, a few little upgrades, and off we go again. So it's been good in some respects, but now it's time to race, because I feel we're all sort of sitting around now with cars ready to roll, and hopefully soon something can happen.
You're in a hard spot there, aren't you? Because I think that car is in its third year with you now, is that right? And it was Jamie's before then, so it's getting on a bit. But it's an awkward time to try and get a new car because Gen 3 is coming soon. So where do you think you guys sit with that? Yeah,
it's a tough transition at the moment. Because obviously we don't build the car, we buy the car. But then you're forced to buy 2 brand new cars, hopefully mid next year, if that still goes to plan. So it's a big investment to buy a car when knowing you've got to buy one mid-year. So I think we just get through, but that's where you need to get back to the workshop, because the older they get, the more, I guess, love they need. But it doesn't mean they're not competitive. It just needs a little bit more love, because as things go, you can imagine the way we hit curbs, cars, walls, whatever it is, they do get put under a fair bit of stress. So yeah, just got to keep on top of it. And when you do back-to-back races, it is tough. But yeah, 9 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever the gap is between Townsville and the next one, there's no we haven't been short of time. So yeah, new cars next year are going to be exciting. There's lots of talk around that. They put a render out of mine the other day, and it's really cruel because you'd love to roll out next season with that, because they look like such a tough car. Everyone will get brand new cars. It'll be a very level playing field, and it's going to be interesting to watch that sort of chapter of the next part of the sport. But yeah, I don't think many people would build a new car at the moment, other than the guys who obviously produce a lot of cars. Like, I don't know, Triple Eight's got one coming, but often those teams might build one, but most customer cars, whatever, I'm 99% sure most will do what we do, get through, get a new car next year and race again.
Shane, you obviously work for one of the teams building the new cars. So has it been exciting being in the workshop while that's all been going on, seeing the design phase, seeing new parts get unboxed? Has it been a cool thing to experience?
Yeah, I sat in it, when was that? End of last week, which was pretty cool. So had the bonnet on it and the seating position and a few different things, and it's cool. It looks, it's tough, you know, the seating position's quite different. Yeah, I think there's some cool changes. So looking forward to driving it whenever that is. We've been playing in the TA2 car with the new or similar style of motor. So yeah, it's all pretty cool.
Have you driven the TA2 car with a new motor, or has it just been lazy? You've driven it. What's it like? Is it cool?
Well, yeah, I think so. It's very much like a Super Tourer in NZ. So, you know, simple things like the electronic throttle, you have a lot of delay, only one throttle body. So been trying to get that better for everything, and, you know, just new processes. So the first day was only, you know, we were quite conservative, and then the next day turned it to 7,500. And, you know, the thing started up and you go, what the hell is that? Like, it sounds awesome, but it's got no mufflers on it. So hopefully they keep that. But on track, it sounds great, and you want to keep that, you know. So, but I don't know what's happening.
Is driver input really important in that development phase with guys like Kenny being out there to listen to you?
I think so, but it's more about component mileage and testing, you know, because everyone's going to have the same engine and same parts for all that. It's going to be controlled now. So it's really just about development. So when we get to the track, you know, we know the thing's going to run nicely with no temperature issues, be reliable, easy to drive. So yeah, it's more about just lifing, really.
And you mentioned the seating position felt a bit different. How so?
Yep. It's, yeah, how the pedal box adjusts, the steering adjusts and stuff. And yeah, obviously having nothing on the left side of the car is really weird. You know, no roll bars, no gear lever and all that kind of stuff. So it just feels really different. It's kind of GT-ish, but yeah, we'll see.
And Will, your experiences at DJR at the moment with new car incoming?
Yeah, much similar to what Shane said. We've got a, you know, fairly, you know, we've had quite a lot of progress on the car we've got in at work, and it's been pretty exciting to see the work progress with, you know, teams coming together, our guys and T8 and Supercars and Tickford coming to have a look, and you know, there's lots of input going on, and the car's really starting to take shape. So much like Shane, I sat in our car last week, and, you know, obviously we're playing around with seating positions and, you know, getting an initial feel for what it's all about. And it's all feedback that's going back into the pool as to how everything's, you know, how everything's going to work moving forwards. And yeah, it's interesting. Obviously the roof's very low and the way you sit in the car is quite different. And yeah, we were able to get a screen on and steering column in and pedal box. And yeah, so there's certainly exciting seeing it all come to light. And it's certainly going to be a very different beast to what we've known and felt and touched for many years. But yeah, certainly coming along really well.
How far away are you guys from getting an engine on a racetrack like the Chev motor?
I mean, our guys are, yeah, they've done quite a lot of work on the engine side of things, and exactly how far away that is. I couldn't answer that because I don't know when we're allowed to actually run it. So I know that, everyone at Ford and at our teams, done extensive amount of work, and, they're pretty well developed and happy with where we're at.
How important is your feedback, given you're so experienced, when you're doing those, you sit in the thing for the first time and you have the ability to talk to the engineers? How important is your feedback at that point?
Well, of course it's important. That's why they get us in, because they're interested in the driver's perspective, I suppose. So there's a safety element, obviously making sure that drivers are going to be able to be positioned safely from their head, respective to the roof, for particularly taller drivers, and just make sure there's plenty of clearance there, while making sure your eye line's in a good position out the windscreen. So I think everything's pretty good on that front. It's just getting an idea as to where you want the seat, and as we touched on, the pedal box position is quite different relative. So depending on whether we've got a lever or paddle shift will probably dictate the importance of that element as well, because I think you would find a lot more drivers left foot braking if we use paddle shift, to be honest, in my opinion. So that sort of changes the ergonomic requirement, and be much more along the lines of a GT style seat position, I'd say.
Yeah, right. Okay, interesting. Frosty, it's funny hearing these chats, isn't it, now, because we're getting closer, aren't we? These are now technical discussions. And was a bit of that new to you, or have you heard a lot of that already so far?
No, all I've heard is that if it's paddle shift or not, that's all I've heard about the next gen car. So that's interesting. I've sat in my Arcadia and driven in my 5 kilometres. It's about the seat position I've done the last bit. So look, the information's pretty dry out there, to be honest, but it's good to see drivers are giving input, because that was my big thing about the car. I think, the drivers know, obviously Shane will, they've driven lots of cars around the world. They know, they've got their best interests for the sport as well, because they want to race cars that are competitive, sound good, fun to drive, and raceable. And you've got to have drivers' input for that, as well as the technical aspect, because if you get every driver involved, they all want, I want this, I want that. If you have a couple of guys and work with a couple of people and then get the technical side right, then it's going to be a great formula. So it's good to hear the comments, and even obviously hearing Shane drive the car and enjoying it. That's positive, because like I said, we haven't heard much at all, to be honest. So it's refreshing to hear some good feedback, and I'm excited. I've just seen renders of the car. That's about it. So it's nice to hear some good feedback on what we're going to drive.
Is it nice to be able to trust the guys that are giving that feedback as well, from your point of view? You mentioned that, obviously Will and Shane have so much experience. So do you feel like it's in good hands?
I guess so. It's the two teams that are, two of the biggest teams, with two very experienced drivers. And I'm sure Jamie's got input, as I'm sure Anton's got input too. So it's not just, I'm sure, these two, it's the whole team that give input to it, as well as Lowndes, and the list goes on. So you need that to happen, because we need to roll out, especially if it's mid-season and a new car. It needs to be good straight out the gate, because you can't have a new car roll out and then have issues and all this other side. So you need the right people doing it. And when they're controlled bits, there's not really much they can do to benefit themselves, because if it's controlled bits, it's one shoe fits all. So most drivers have the best input for the sport, because they want the sport to succeed. The sport succeeds, everything else goes with it. So it's in good hands, and I'm looking forward to having a spin in it when it's that time. And it's exciting, that next generation, especially for us. We all have driven generations of car now. It's exciting to see what's coming, and you want them to be different, but you don't want to lose the core roots of our sport. So sounds exciting, and can't wait to get the keys to my new car whenever that is, and we can have a play.
All right, guys, I appreciate that. That was a good chat, actually. It turned more into Gen 3 than I was planning on, but there's quite a bit going on there. So good to hear about it. Thank you. Enjoy the E-Series next week, and hopefully see Shane and I racing one night, and we'll enjoy our little mini break as much as we can. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Enjoy turning left, Will.
I haven't committed yet. I think I've got the team's interest at heart. I think we need Anton back in. He was robbed last night, so he's redemption next week.
You're welcome to a wild card whenever you want,
Yeah.
Shane.
Where were the virtual blue flags last night? God, he got screwed.
Well done.
Cheers.
Yeah.
There.